Chapter 32. Wedge pressed his thumb against the datapad screen offered to him by the Verpine tech Zrai. Thanks for getting the auxiliary fuel pods on so quickly. It's going to mean a lot on this mission. The insectoid technician buzzed something at him, prompting Wedge to smile and nod, since he had no idea what the tech was saying. He assumed it had something to do with the ablative sheaths fitted over the noses of the X-Wings. It would burn off as they entered Borlius's atmosphere, giving the snub fighters the appearance of meteorites burning up on entry to observers on the ground. A very good job, Zrai. Over the top of the tech's head, he saw Mirax walk into the hangar with Corin. She gave him a kiss on the cheek, then the pilot ran off towards his own green and white X-Wing. Mirax watched him go, pulling a Rebel-issue flight jacket more tightly over her shoulders. Mirax and Corin? Perhaps opposites do attract. It struck him that their attraction to each other seemed as improbable as that of Princess Leia to Han Solo. The thought caused a sinking feeling in the pit of his stomach. If they have as many ups and downs as those two. Mirax walked over to him and watched him through slitted eyes for a second. Are you borrowing trouble, Wedge? Are you reading my mind? Huh? Nice coat. Looks better on you than it does on Corin. Mirax smiled but didn't blush. We're friends. Oral offered me his bunk last night, and I accepted. Corin and I talked. Nothing happened. She glanced to the side and noticed Arisi's approach. It's a good thing Corin doesn't snore. I was able to get some rest. Wedge shook his head. We're heading out, Mirax. I left a message behind for you and your father if I don't make it back. You will, Wedge. You've gobbled up the best the Emperor had to offer. No reasons to imagine the crumbs will choke you. Mirax gave him a hug and a kiss on the cheek. I'll see if I can find enough paint to be able to decorate your T-65 with the new kills. Thanks, Mirax. He turned to Arisi. You have something for me, Miss Delaret? Mission Control says Case Green is in effect. Good. We're clear to go. Wedge whistled loudly and circled his right hand over his head. The Rogue Squadron pilots looked at him for a second, then pulled themselves into their cockpits. Sorry you're not going with us, Miss Delaret. Not as sorry as I am. May the Force be with you. Wedge smiled. Thanks. Stay out of danger, the both of you. He pulled on his helmet and climbed up into the X-Wing's cockpit. He strapped himself into the ejection seat, then punched the ignition sequence into the computer. The engines came up with only a trace of a whine. He closed the cockpit canopy, then glanced behind himself. Are you ready, Minoc? The R5 unit beeped at him, and Wedge projected a trace of fear into the reply's tremolo. Wouldn't be a mission if we didn't feel that way. Rogue Leader to Mission Control, requesting liftoff clearance. Control to Rogue Leader. You and your squadron are clear for takeoff. Be strong in the Force, and shoot straight. As ordered, Tycho. See you in 10 hours. I'll be waiting. Wedge gave Tycho's silhouette in the control center's window a thumbs up. Then he slowly cut in the repulsor lift drive. The X-Wing rose from the ground and, with a light foot on the rudder pedals, turned left towards the hangar door. Easing the throttle forward, he applied thrust and started out. He let his nose dip a bit to give himself a better view of the area through which he flew, retracted his landing gear, and cruised out into the open. All around him, the golden savannas and Nokwazar spread out, the long grasses teased by gentle breezes. His ship seemed immune to the wind, just as it was immune to the peace of the planet. Off in the distance, brown specks flowed together into a dark flood as a mossy-horned herd of wilderness invaded the valley. In one huge tree, the only one visible to Wedge, a pride of Tepari waited for the prey to drift closer before they would start their hunt. Tycho was right. I'm not too old for this game. I have, however, been playing it for far too long. When I get back, I'm going to get out and walk across the plains and drink in a little life, a little peace. He nodded slowly. It's no good to keep fighting if I allow myself to forget why I'm fighting. Corin's voice crackled through the helmet speakers. Rogue Squadron assembled, sir. Wedge brought the nose of his fighter up. Thank you, Rogue 9. Full speed to the jump point, people. We've got an appointment to keep, and it won't do for us to be a minute late. Wedge punched his throttle full forward, leaving wind-whipped grasses and roiling clouds as the only sign he had been on the planet, and Nakwazor erased those traces effortlessly. Mirax shivered and hugged her arms around herself. As she turned away from the hangar opening, she saw Arisi staring ion bolts at her. Now I know why I felt cold. She put her arms through the sleeves of the jacket and pulled it taut at her waist so Corin's name tape could be read over the breast pocket. I think they'll do fine. I know it. The Theferan glared at her. Of course, your antics with Corin could doom the mission. He needed rest. And he got it. Mirax made Arisi stare openly. Corin and I are friends, nothing more. His father knew my father. His father hunted your father. And got him, so you can rest assured that nothing could develop between us. Good. See that it doesn't. The implied challenge got beneath Mirax's skin. And if I don't? Irisi's blue eyes sparked anger. You are a smuggler. I have it within my power to see to it that you never are able to handle Bacta shipments. I can guarantee that anyone who wants to handle Bacta shipments will never deal with you. In short, I can end your career here and now. The Theferan's expression eased, but the energy in her eyes did not diminish. Conversely, you can be rewarded for leaving Corin alone. The very influence that I can bring to bear against you can be made to work for you. We can be friends, and you will find that a very good thing. Mirax killed the desire to haul off and smack the smug grin from Arisi's face. She was adrift in space and isn't on a mission with her squadron. She's bound to be muddy in her thinking. I'll take that under advisement. Even if I felt something more for Corin, well, I make my living selling all sorts of things I might like for myself. In fact, I should be seeing to business right now. If you'll excuse me. Of course. Irisi smiled sweetly, but it failed to cut the venom in her eyes. We'll speak again. Mirax mirrored her smile, then stalked off towards the pulsar skate. She headed up the gang ramp and sniffed the air for traces of coolant. She smelled nothing, which should have made her happy, but the abbreviated conversation with Arisi left her uneasy. And, she realized, it's because of more than the imperious way she spoke to me. Mirax had learned to handle all manner of client attitudes towards her, but that had been easy since it was business, not personal. Arisi was giving her orders concerning her personal life. She even threatened business pressure to make Mirax change her personal life. While what Arisi offered was indeed very tempting, the practical result would be that Mirax would be selling a piece of herself, and that was something she had long ago vowed never to do. She wanted to convince herself that her upset came from the principle of the whole thing, but she couldn't dismiss the nascent feelings she had for Corin. It wasn't love, of that she was pretty certain, but it could have moved towards it. At the very least, Corin represented something from her past that provided an illusion of consistency to life. She knew she could have hated him as easily as liked him, and she'd expected more negative feelings for him, but they just weren't there. In bringing him the Reichkate and the black market goods, she'd expected an angry reaction from him. That would have been reason enough to think poorly of him, but he'd been gracious in accepting the gifts. She'd started to soften towards him that night, which is why she fled. Mirax admitted to herself that she'd accepted Oral's offer to get another shot at kindling negative feelings. She'd been prepared to sleep with Corin and hate him in the morning if he'd seduced her with some "and tomorrow I may die" line. The fact that he hadn't tried to seduce her and had deftly sidestepped invitations to keep her warm in the night confirmed what she had known all along. He was a bit more complex than the stereotypical Corsac officer. She shivered. I don't need or want involvement with anyone, much less the son of the man who sent my father to Kessel. I also don't want some Bacta Queen ordering me around. Her head came up and she realized her Celestan pilot had spoken to her. What? Liat Save, the mouse-eared pilot, chittered at her again. No, I don't know where we're going because I don't know what we'll be hauling. The Celestan canted her head to the side and muttered reprovingly. Well, for your information, I didn't sleep with the pilot, and even if I had slept with him, he isn't the unit's quartermaster. Have you thought of pulling a unit want list from M-Tray? No. She pointed at the communications console. Do it now. Liat punched up a comm frequency, then squeaked and squealed through a headset. Mirax hit another button, and a holographic list featuring icons and dual buy-sell prices grew up from the holoplate in the middle of the skate's cockpit. She scanned the list quickly and saw most of it was military equipment, which was paid for with promises and brought a very low profit margin into the equation. Still, she was willing to bring it in if it provided provided it had some high-value cargo to make a run worth her time. The consumer goods list began, and she found it much more promising than the military list. Then some odd products started showing up. Liat? Ask for confirmation on the prices for 15 through 25 inclusive. The Celestan complied with the order, then nodded and rubbed his hands together greedily. Damn, this is not good. Mirax smacked her hands together. Tell the droid we'll buy all he has of 15 through 25. Yes, all. Liat chirred angrily. I know we can't fit it all in here. Negotiate an exclusivity contract with him. Give him whatever he wants. A partnership, even. Just do it. She snatched a comlink from the recharging port in the cockpit wall. When you have it locked, call me. I'll be out looking for Wedge's XO. We have a problem. A big problem. And if I can't head it off, I've got friends who are on their way to die. That's the end of the chapter. Hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you soon.